no further ado, I'm going to introduce Tina and Jeff.
I really want to thank Anna for letting us have this talk today. Oh my gosh, and letting us have this room, because normally we do just talk once a year, and she slipped us in, and this is such a very, very important conversation that we need to have about scams. Thank you, Michael, for videoing. I really appreciate that. We're hoping to get this on channel 3 so that we get out to more people and get this information out. So your job is, at the end of today, I want you to tell every friend and everyone that you come in contact with the information that we're learning today. Maybe I can talk to Kathy Thayer and get something in Clubhouse 4 that we can get a bigger venue to get more people. This is something that's very, very important. Scams are at an all-time high right now, off the charts. We used to get 4 to 5 calls a month of people that are getting scammed. We're getting 4 to 5 calls a day. A day. And the problem is, it's stuff that you guys know about. So this is a refresher course. So even though you've heard it before, somehow or another you stop listening. So we're going to go over it again. No excuse. Okay, so who gets scammed more? Older people or younger people? Older. 20 to 34 get scammed more than senior citizens. So applaud yourselves for that. But because they don't have a lot of money, their scams are a lot less in dollar amount. The scams that they have for seniors are a much higher dollar amount. Okay, so the average scam is about 500 bucks.
Oh, ouch.
It's now starting to go up to about $3,000. So it's really important that you pay very close attention to what we're talking about today. So let me get to the screens. Okay, so what does it say?
Don't call that phone number.
Say it again.
Don't call that phone number.
One more time.
Don't call that phone number.
Okay. Easy, you gotta remember this. This will stop almost probably 50% of the scams. Anywhere you see a phone number pop up on your screen, it is absolutely, without doubt, 100% a scam. It is absolutely 100% a scam. On an email, on a text, on your computer, you're surfing along, and the screen comes up, and it says it's Microsoft, or Apple, or Google, or whoever it says, and there's a phone number, and guess what? The bigger the phone number, the bigger the scam, okay? So that number is really big, you know that's a scam, and so if you can remember one thing, okay, so that's something you have to drill into your head, and honestly, if you can just remember that, if you don't take away anything else today, take away that. And the reason why I'm stressing this is because the 4 to 5 calls a day I'm getting from people who know that, because they've been to my classes, they have this sitting next to their computer, they're calling the phone number. Here's what it looks like. So I want everybody to take a good look at the screen so that you're familiar with it, so when you see it, you don't panic. Okay, so that's the first thing. And it's bells and whistles. Okay, so, and it goes on and on. So I get the phone calls and it's like, bam, 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 in the background. I'm like, okay, turn off your volume. I don't know how, I can't do it. I don't know how that volume is. I can't. Because what is it doing? They're using psychological warfare on you. So that's the beginning, is one, they get the sound going, and you can't think, right? That's like going and people go crazy. And then they don't know what to do, and they can't stop it, and they can't get away from it. So what do? They call the number. And that's the beginning of the scam. Okay, so now you've started, and they're good. So what's happened now with scamming is, you go ahead. So, okay, everybody got a good look at this, and we're going to show you a lot of screens. And there's some of the prints are on your papers. If you want to walk up here and look at it later, I'll bring it up after the meeting, and I'll put it up here so you can see it. So, according to Webster, it's a dishonest scheme or a fraud. Okay? So, what's the I get a lot of people all the time, I got hacked. I got hacked. So, what's the definition of hacked? What does it mean to get, they take over your computer? Okay. What does it mean to get hacked? So, the definition is to use a computer to gain unauthorized access to data in a system. They hacked my bank account. So the difference between a scam and hacked is unauthorized. So if you have nothing to do with it and you get your bank statement and your credit card and there's a charge on there that you had nothing to do about, that's not necessarily hacked, but it means someone got in there and you had nothing to do with it. You didn't talk to them on the phone, you didn't do whatever. If you get scammed, it's you that's doing it. Okay? So if somebody gets a hold of your email account and they start doing things and you didn't do anything, that's hacked. So first you have to take responsibility for whatever you're clicking on or whatever you're doing. So that, and that's an important thing to do, is to know it starts with you. Clicking on an email, on a text message, on a link, answering the telephone. Okay? So you didn't get hacked, you got scammed. So we'll start with that. Okay, so, all right, so does everybody remember when they were raising their children? Think back, way back. What did you tell them all the time? Don't talk to strangers. Okay, children. Stop talking to strangers. Who's a stranger? Everybody else. Who's a friend? Is Microsoft a friend? No. Is Apple a friend? No. None of them are a friend. But yet, we're freely wanting to give all of our information to them. Okay, so just remember in your mind, back when you were telling your kids and back when your mother told you, don't talk to strangers. Okay, and that's becoming really incredibly important now. Okay. Are you kind of going along as well? Okay, so we're talking about general scams. What are some scams you guys know about? Raise a hand so I can. Charity scam.
Microsoft.
A Microsoft scam.
Children.
The children are being held captive. Prizes and free stuff. Yeah. Gift cards. How about gift cards? The IRS. Yes.
Is a call from the sheriffs for money a scam?
Yes. Yes. So on donations. Okay. So I don't know how to explain this. We're living in a world that's a little bit upside down, and everything is not always what it seems. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that are trying to take advantage of everybody else. And there's a lot of scammers out there. And we come from a generation where we could shake someone's hand and that was a binding agreement and that was good, right? Is that not where we came from? Okay, you gotta change your thinking. And you have to start approaching everything more skeptical and think that it might be a scam first. and really put up the red flags. And there's some red flags in the flyers that you have that we're going to go over in a little bit that, that you can tell yourself and you should run through, you should really look through and memorize those, because if those come up, then you know that, wait a minute, I need to step back and look at this is probably a problem. Okay, so gift card scams. You guys are falling for the gift card scam. So what company that you know of, legitimate company, uses a gift card for payment? Anybody? Amazon uses gift cards? Okay, so not, if you get a gift card from Amazon and you use it on Amazon, then or if you get a Kohl's gift card, you go to Kohl's and you apply it. I'm talking about someone who you get on the phone with.
iTunes.
Yeah, there's iTunes gift cards. Someone that you get on the phone with, and they say, you know what, I need you to go to the store and get gift cards. So everybody's shaking your head, but people do it every day, and we get the phone calls every day. We were on the phone, they've been on the phone with these guys for 2 hours, and they're manipulating your brain, okay? They are masters at doing this. If you think you're smarter than them, you better pay attention, because you're not. I can tell you they are using psychological warfare. They, within moments, get you following whatever this story is, and they actually talk people into going to the store and getting a gift card. And then they come back and they actually give them the number on the gift card to pay for whatever the services are. And they're doing it at $1,000 and $2,000, and people are doing it here at Leisure World every day. Okay, so anything that has to do with a gift card is a scam. All the phone numbers are a scam. All the gift cards are a scam. Okay, so we also, oops, go back one screen. So some of the others, bank scams, free things, anything pretty much to do with Bitcoin and crypto and all that, forget it, okay? That's usually a scam. Caregiver scams, I'll tell you a story. And remember Publishers Clearinghouse? Who's gotten a call lately? Or an email or something? They're back. They're back, though, as a scam. So I had a client call me and says, hey, I got a call from Publishers Clearinghouse, and you know, they said I won, but I need to pay $2,000 for the taxes before they'll send me. What's wrong with that picture? Okay, so you don't have to pay, and so one thing that, you know, when you, so we're going to we have to start thinking logically a little bit. One, if you don't sign up for Publishers Clearinghouse, you can't win. So I said, did you sign up? He goes, well, no, but, you know, they told me that, you know, I won. I said, but did you sign in did you put your card in to win? Well, no. I said, well, you can't win if you don't sign up. So that's red flag number one. And I said, then if they ask you for money, that's red flag number 2. But I would have stopped it. I wouldn't have even talked to them, and I would have hung up the phone. Actually, I wouldn't have even answered the phone. So how many people are still answering your telephone? Stop. Okay, next. We'll get to phones in a second. Refund scams. This is brilliant. This just shows you how much you fall for it. So a year ago, they scammed you. And you're like, oh God, and they got me, and it was $400 or $500 or $1,000 or whatever to clean up your computer, like buy a new one. So $1,000. Then they call you. Now they have a thing like sucker on your card, so they know who you are, and they put it back. And this is brilliant. They call you a year, and they say, oh my God, we made a mistake. We overcharged you. I'm so sorry. Well, so what do people hear? I'm going to get money back. I'm going to give this guy as much information as I can to get my money back, because I want money. So do you see the hook? Do you see how they're getting you? And you fall like dominoes, people. So you gotta stop that. So then what they do is they go, oh, I'll give you my credit card. I'll give you my credit card and you can just put it back on the credit card and, oh, no, we can't do that. You need to give us your bank account number. And they do it. Because they want the money. People, nothing's free. Nobody's giving you anything. If it's free, if they're giving it to you, it's a scam. Okay, and it's around us with everything that we're doing. It's everywhere. So so then people, you give them the bank account number. Guess what they do with that? Do they give you the money back? No, they clean out your account. Because now they wire transfer it out and it's done. They even get people to log in, let them get onto their computer. We'll talk about that in a minute. Remotely get into the computer. How many people have had me do that on a computer, have somebody remotely access? Do you understand what that means? Who doesn't understand what that means? Am I ahead of myself? No. So when you're on a computer, and in most cases, if it's a tech support type situation or if it's a scam, the number comes up, you call the phone number, and they go, oh, just click on this and put this information in, and then all of a sudden the mouse is moving and you're not touching it, which means that they have an access to your computer. So the people that don't know what that is, does that make sense? So so like for instance, I use it a lot for tech support. But when I do it, the people know me. The rule of thumb is so who's a stranger? Do we let strangers get on our computers? Do we let them remotely access the computer? But yet they trick you into doing that. If you call the phone number, they trick you and they have you put in a code and they do it, it's very quick, and then all of a sudden, is this working? Okay. Then the mouse is moving. That means they have total access of all of your data. Once you let the stranger on your computer, they have your passwords, your logins, every single thing in minutes. While they're showing you the 24 Trojans that aren't on your computer. Okay? So that's a big thing. Oh my God, they're attacking you from Russia. Oh my, they have all these buzzwords that they use to get you to not think. And they talk, so most people say they talk really fast. And they don't stop talking, so they're continually talking, and while they're doing that, it doesn't give you an opportunity to think. So what's the first thing you do? Don't call the number. It's the first thing you do. But if you call it, what do? Hang up. And most people say, well, I don't know, I thought it was weird. Well, I don't know, I was just thinking, I'm just not sure. So how long were you on the phone with them? 2 hours. Use your gut, know that this is out here. And the way to keep it from happening is if you don't call the number in the beginning. I cannot stress that to you enough. Just flat out, don't call the number. We'll have a break from me talking and let Jeff talk. This is his favorite scam.
Sorry? Yeah, how do you think I met him? So romance scams are something that's really kind of different in one big way. The scammers that you've been talking about that get on the computer with you or on the phone, those scammers are now in call centers. Many times if you're on the phone with them, you can hear other people in the background talking because they're in cubicles in an office building, mostly in 2 different countries. India or Nigeria are the big 2 countries of the world right now on that. And they go to training classes in how to manipulate people and how to, what to listen for, and you mention something offhand in the conversation and they write it down and then they use it later. I was at a lady's house a few weeks ago fixing her printer and the phone rang and she says, the landline rang. She says, oh, it's probably a scammer. So she goes over and answers it. And her husband passed away a year and a half ago, and she goes to the scammer, or to the guy on the phone, she says, no, he's not here. Hal died February 27th, 2021, right here at 1360 Eldorado Drive, apartment 3C. She said all this, and she goes, and then she says, please don't call again, and hangs up. Well, she just gave him some information, obviously, personal information, and she gave him her address, and then she thought she did the right thing by hanging up. But they just flagged her name, her number, and that information with, like Tina said, the word sucker. So she will get calls again. Or they'll Google her name and her address and maybe track down her email address and send her stuff that way too. So that happens. Romance scams are a little different though. Romance scams typically go over a long period of time. And it's almost always an individual, not a company, sitting in the basement of a house, somewhere. And they string people along online, and we're going to show you some slides later and how it starts, but they string people along for a very long time, taking it very easy so that people don't suspect that there's something wrong. And usually they're trapped in a country and they're going to be refugees and they're just holding tight right now, but they need a friend, and it can go on for months. And with no suspicious request for money or anything unusual like that. But eventually it gets to the point where they need an airline ticket. And they can't buy one because they don't have any money. So they need you, maybe they need gift cards as a way to pay for an airline ticket, as if that would work. And, or they need wire transfer money. And they gradually, and we don't hear as much about it because typically they're not breaking into a computer to do this. They're just texting or emailing.
Social media.
Yeah.
Mostly, a lot of social media is how they get it.
Very common, Facebook has a feature called Messenger, and it's very common on Messenger. And there's other ones too. And it just goes on and on, sometimes for a year or more. And we had a client here a couple of years ago that was instructed gradually over time to get a magazine, put money in an envelope, and tie it up in a magazine, and seal it up in a bag and mail it to this address. I don't even know where it was going.
It was like $30,000 over about 4 months that he sent this guy.
And
This is kind of a man thing. I hate to say it, although girls fall for it too, but it's mostly men. And those of you who may or may not have done that, just remember the other person on that other end of the line is probably a guy. Just so you know.
So anyway, we'll show you a little example of that more later. Go ahead.
Okay, so the reason why we did this emergency meeting, the reason why I put the ad in the paper a couple of weeks about scams, if you did not see it, please read it. It I hope will help keep people safe. I had several people call me and said, oh my God, if I hadn't read that, the very next day I saw what was in that and it stopped me from doing that, which makes me feel really good that I'm doing something to help you guys stay safe. So now we've kind of talked about all the different types of scams and that they do use the psychological warfare to get you to follow along with them. And you have to just remember, if you don't call the number, you don't get them on the phone. If you don't answer the phone, they can't get you on the phone and tell you whoever it is that gets you to bite into it. Okay, so that's the whole thing about if you don't know the person that you're speaking to, there's no way for you, they can say anything they want. I'm Microsoft, I'm Apple, I'm Citibank, I'm American Express, I'm your doctor, I'm whatever. If you don't recognize the person on the other line and you don't know them personally, back to being a stranger, anybody who's a stranger, okay, and that makes the circle pretty small, you hang up, say, thank you very much, Citibank, I get it that I've got fraud on my account, and you hang up. Then what do? Where do you get the number? From your own records. Get your credit card, get your bank statement. I can't tell you how many people have called me and said, oh, I came home from a long day of shopping and Citibank said I had fraud. And of course, what's the first thing we do? We panic, right? Oh God, they got my card, they're gonna thousands of dollars and I don't know whether I'm gonna have to pay that. I mean, you go, I mean, I did too. I mean, it's like, oh crap, you know? So then they leave a number. This is the fraud department from the city bank, and we have noticed that there is unusual activity on your card, and it's $1,200 for a new iPad, and we need you to call this number immediately. What do people do? They call the number that's on there. And what do we do? How do we get the number? On your credit card or your statement. Do we look it up on the internet? Why don't we look it up on the internet? Because there's a lot of scams on the internet. And so what's the hardest, what's the biggest frustration everybody's having right now? I hear a lot. You can't get a phone number to call anybody, can you? How hard is it to find a phone number these days? Right? So when one is readily available, red flag. Okay, so I'm not kidding, on every single thing you do or see or whatever, I don't care if it's an email, I don't care if it's a text message or whatever, if there's a phone number, that is absolutely 100% hook and line. They're getting ready to send you down. Okay, so you want to make sure you do not call any phone numbers on anything that's presented to you unless it's your own personal credit card or statement or bank statement. That will help you a lot if you just follow that direction. Okay, does everybody understand that? Restaurants are pretty good for the most part. I'm not seeing a big scam on that. That usually the phone number comes up, and even, I don't know, I've looked up a couple restaurants lately and they don't even have a phone number. I don't get how they make money. So,
Wouldn't it be smart to put those numbers in your phone? Like if I'm expecting a phone call from a worker or something, and if I put his number in there and then when he calls, I know it's him, because he'll say.
yes, what she's saying is, would it be smart to put those numbers in your phone? And yes, that is, because that's what the caller ID is. So how many people have unknown or blocked number that when you send a phone call to them, they can't see the number? Okay, so I would recommend taking that off. Because when you're calling someone, it comes up as unknown. So I get a lot of unknown calls, and many of them are in a panic because their computer's being taken over, but I don't answer any unknown calls, and you shouldn't either. So if you notice that a lot of people aren't answering your phone call, that's why. So I would call your phone people so that your ID comes up, and that way your friends and your family know that it's you when they're calling. So unless I see a name or not, that I recognize, I do not answer the phone. And it used to be that the scammers didn't leave a message. So now they do, and I'm talking way too long, and I'm sorry. We're gonna run out of time. So anyway, what you need to do is don't call the number to begin with, right? Don't call the number. Just keep telling yourself that.
Let me talk for a minute.
Go ahead.
So the bad guys, I call them the bad guys, scammers, they want money, and sometimes they want information because identity theft is a big thing where they can actually open credit cards in your name by, in extreme cases, by property, by automobiles in your name. And the automobiles, of course, get taken to south of the border and sold immediately, so there's no getting them back. It's a mess. But I have a short story about that. Day before yesterday, I got called to go to somebody's house here at Leisure World, and she had been scanned. In fact, the phone rang while I was there. She looked over at the number, and she goes, "That's him again." I said, well, you know, we're all taught to be polite and courteous in general, right? And I said, you don't have to be nice to a bad guy, okay? They're bad guys. But she said, well, he keeps calling back wanting more. And I said, well, what do you mean more? And so she showed me this right here. Now you can't see it because it's too small to read. This is a wire transfer form from Wells Fargo Bank, okay? And it's to Standard Chartered Bank Hong Kong, which is a real bank in Hong Kong. It even has the person's name and address in Hong Kong
Pass it around.
for $45,300. $45,300.
I'm passing a copy of it around. Take a good look at it.
This right-
$45,000.
And this was about a month ago, I think. And so it's too late now. You know, once a wire goes, it's gone, and then undoubtedly, once it got to that bank, it went to another bank and another bank and another bank. That's what they do until it can't be found again. Anyway, I circled it here, $45,300.
The stakes are getting to be really high. They're asking for a lot more money when they access your computer. They're going on the bank account. There was a scam recently where they said, oh, we need to give you the refund or whatever, and oh, pay me. And the person actually opened the bank account with the scammer on their computer, and it was supposed to be $1,400, and he slipped in an extra zero. And then he sent it off. And although he sent it from her savings into her, or checking to her savings account, and he said, oh my God, look right there, you can see the transfer happened, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired, what are we gonna do? And then she ended up taking the $14,000 and sending it back to the guy. So they're very clever, they're very quick, they're now accessing bank accounts, they're getting really bold, which is why you guys have to put your guard up even more.
So obviously, all of our digital accounts are just a magnet for criminals. You know, if you left money on the table, somebody would take it, and that's how they look at it. Very common now. You probably use this in some way, shape, or form already. You may not know the name of it. It's called two-factor authentication. The abbreviation is 2FA, but that means that's just an abbreviation for the same thing. And so what that means is when you put your password into a site, you've got your username, probably your email address, and then a password, and you know that, and everything's fine. But then you have to get a text message with a code on it to make sure it's really you. The idea being that if somebody has access to your email address and your password, they won't have your phone in their hand. You have it in your hand, so they can't get that code.
Okay, Steph, I see a lot of blank stares. Do you guys understand what he's talking about? Who doesn't understand?
You put in your username and password.
That's the first authentication.
Now, this doesn't work on flip phones or landlines. This is only on a 21st century cell phone that gets text messages. Text-based two-factor authentication sends you a code. You put that code in the box, and then you're into your bank account, to your brokerage, or whatever it happens to be. Even if a scammer has your password, just a second, he won't have your cell phone to get that code. Yes,
And you
Barbara.
have a limited time to put it in there.
That's right.
If you don't, like me, who hesitated too long, it all stopped, they said we have to start over.
That's right. Most of these codes are only one time.
Yep.
Many times you go to people's homes and they've got 3 or 4 pages of these codes written down. I tell them, just shred them, because they only work once, and at that time only for 5 minutes or 3 minutes or maybe 10 on some things. Oh, also one thing, using the two-factor authentication, getting those text messages, also keeps you actively involved in your own security. It means you are actively doing something to make sure that you're safe when you open your bank account, when you're making a deposit, you know, things like that. So it's very important to turn this on.
It works on the 3G too. People still use text messages on flip phones, so you can still use it on a flip phone if you have text. Most people on flip phones don't have the text feature turned on. So as long as it's turned on, you can still get a code.
So if you can get a text message, it works.
When you go into something like Social Security or you go into something like whatever, are they using this at this point?
The DMV is, because I just helped somebody with it the other day. I think Social Security is too. I believe so, yes. Yes, and many of them are not giving you the option of whether or not you want to do it anymore, they're requiring it.
And it is safer, and we're gonna give you an exception of how that doesn't work. What you wanna do, especially on your email, and I know it's a pain, guys, I know it's a pain, but it's becoming the necessity, so you should use it on your email, because if someone gets a hold of your email, they can get a hold of everything and change your passwords. It also should be on bank accounts and credit cards, or accounts that have credit cards associated with them. If you have like a little nothing account, it's not a big deal, it's not critical, but more and more they're saying that you should have it on everything, but you should talk about home phone and cell phone on
Oh,
those codes.
yeah. Sometimes people sign up for a site and it says, put your phone number in, so we can identify you, even if it's at a later date, and they put their landline in. And then you can't get a text message on your landline.
So therefore, you're locked out of the account,
Right.
because now they try and send the code. So many times I try and do it with people and they go, well, I have a cell phone, it's a smart cell phone, but I'm not gonna put it in there, I don't wanna put that number in there. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. If they want the cell phone, they're gonna be sending you a text. If you get locked out of that account, you have to have a valid cell phone number so that they can send you the text, or you get locked out and it gets very hard to get back into those accounts.
So I'm going to speed through a few things because we're going to run out of time quick here. On the news, you may hear people talking about AI, the letters AI. That stands for artificial intelligence. And it's coming very quickly to all of us. And it can involve facial recognition, like, you know, when you see people holding their phones up and it recognizes their face, that sort of thing. But it can be based on physical movement, voice recognition, behavioral, that's hard to say, behavioral attributes, all kinds of things are coming quickly. So retina scan is coming. Everyone knows they can do a fingerprint on many phones these days. All that stuff. Scammers will also, when you get those codes, let's say you're on the phone with a scammer, and he says, okay, you're going to get a 6-digit code, I need you to read it to me. Okay? That kind of eliminates the whole benefit of using the code in the first place. Here's a text, this is off my own phone, says, I was selling some Bluetooth speakers. Hi, I'm Angela, and I'm interested for your Bluetooth speaker system. I'll send you a 6-digit code to verify your Craigslist post. If your post is real, give me the code, then I'll call you back. So if I had, and I did get a code right away, and the code was for my own Gmail, okay? And so if I'd given her that code, or her, it's probably not her, anyway, if I'd given the scammer that code, then they would be able to access my Gmail, go in right away and change the password on my own Gmail, change the recovery phone number from my number to theirs, and then I'd be out.
So do you understand that? Okay, I understand. So,
Well, all right.
no, because this is really, really important.
So I'm selling something on Craigslist. And on Craigslist, usually you put the phone number in because they're going to text or call or email or whatever. And so I get a message within seconds of me posting this thing, before anyone can even read it, because they've got a computer set up to do it. So I get this text message saying, hey, I'm interested in your thing for sale, but I need to verify that you're real, that I'm real, okay? And so they're going to send you a code. Well, they didn't send me a code. Google sent me a code. They put my email address in saying, I need to get into this account, please send a code. But of course that went to my phone, because it's my Google account, my Gmail. If I had read that code or texted it back to this person, that would then give them access to my personal email. And then they could go in and change my password or do anything they want.
Understand better? So anytime you get a code on your phone, never give that number to anybody unless it's somebody you know that's helping you. And knowing someone is not someone that tells you they're from Microsoft. It's personally knowing, back to the whole stranger. Just always ask yourself, is this a stranger? Do I know this person? And the answer is going to be no.
I have a couple other, these are text messages I received. Somebody wanted to verify my Google verification code, and there's a link at the bottom to type it in.
How
Now,
many people are seeing this on your text messages?
and similar things on emails too, it doesn't have to be text. Here's another one. Free message, JP Morgan Chase Bank alert, did you attempt a Zelle payment for the amount of $5,000? Okay, for one thing, I don't have a Chase account, so I wasn't too worried. Plus, it's a little bit odd, you know, like every word is capitalized, so it's a little odd use of language. It also says reply yes or no, or 1 to decline fraud alerts. So many people would see that, oh, this is a scam, I'll just type 1 in and send it back. Well, you're on the track to getting scammed by sending that number 1 back, okay? Because you just let them know that you are a living, breathing person that responds to scams, okay?
So what do?
Nothing.
Delete it and move on.
Yeah, just don't do anything. You're always safe.
So
doing
but
nothing.
point out kind of that, so what we're going to go through here on a couple of these texts is some of the things to look for. So Jeff pointed out how the red flag for him was, I don't have a Chase account. So, okay, so if he gets this and he doesn't have a Chase account, delete. And you don't even have to go any further. But okay, hey, I do have a Chase account. The next thing he pointed out is that all the letters are capitalized. Okay, and then they want the response of yes or no or whatever. So all of those things are red flags, but many times it's just a little, go back one screen. A lot of times so notice it's GOO.GL, but most people, because it's small, they just see that as Google. And so they think, oh, okay, well, when you click on that link, it either loads up your phone with malware, tracking software. When you click on that link, it's the one that grabs your contacts and sends it out to everyone you know, and then they get this scam too, and then they click on it, and that's how these things are starting to go out of control. You have to stop clicking on the links.
Not only that, the last letter of Google here is not an L, it's an exclamation point. Now, you know, how obvious is it? It's not. You just glance at it and you think it says Google. And it's an exclamation point, not an L. It shows that it's a secure site, but it doesn't mean it's Google.
It's a secure site for the scammer.
Yeah, it's a secure site for the scammer.
So what we're recommending to everyone is just don't ever, so everybody knows what the link is, right? It's this thing that's like underlined, it's usually in blue and another color, you click on it, and many times it doesn't do anything because it's doing it in the background, it's infecting you and sending crap to your friends. But many times it opens up another website and then it says, oh hey, like the Chase one, we need your information, we need your name and your address, and oh, could you put your password in and your social security and all your bank account. It's a phishing site to get data. So the best thing you can do is delete it and stop clicking on the links, period. Because in a text message, you cannot tell who it's from, what it's from. Many times it's just a few letters. I mean, you just can't tell. It's bad in an email now, but it's really bad in a text message. And if you think it's from a friend, pick up the phone. Do you remember phones? Because I think everybody stopped using them. They're all texting and they respond back to these, and you're responding back to the scammer. So when you get that, my friend is deadly sick, and oh my God, could you buy an Amazon card? That just went around with a whole bunch of people. Pick up the phone and call. When I ask people, I say, well, when was the last time you talked to that person? Well, we went to high school, I haven't talked to them in 60 years. And I said, do you think she'd really, ask you to do an Amazon card for your girl, your granddaughter? Oh, yeah, probably not. I don't even have a phone number to call her. Delete and move on. Yeah, we're gonna show that in a few minutes. So, all right, we're gonna keep going here.
Run out of time.
I know, there's too many things.
There are. This is, it's hard to read from there probably. This is an example of an email that somebody here at Leisure World receives saying that their $1,100 iPad purchase is going through, and there's a phone number of all things. How about that? To chic at Amazon.com. But anyway, it's a phone number. And you can, well, that's when your head starts spinning. But anyways, please contact billing support at.
So, if there's a phone number, what do you do?
Don't call the phone number.
Okay, so this is an email, so now we're not calling the phone numbers.
And actually, the use of the English language isn't too bad. And they did capitalize some letters and not others, so it's a little unusual, but you know, it's not a big red flag. But anyway, of course, our client here called that number. They said they were from Amazon, and they would be glad to reverse the charge, and she promptly lost a couple $1,000s. Oh, we need to keep going here. Here's another text message.
So here's the link we were talking about. So we just delete those and see your number is chosen to secure a prize. Red flag. They're gonna give me something for free. Delete. You gotta get that in your mindset. Everybody gets fixated, and you gotta just move on. Delete it and move on. It only has a consequence usually if you click on the link that they sent you in the hack. So if they click on the link, it then sends it to all of the contacts. Thank you very much, all of you that I'm in your contacts. I know who's clicking on the links. Okay, because I get the emails and I get the text messages. So when you click on it, it goes out to all the contacts. As long as you just delete it and don't click on it, then it doesn't take your contacts and do the same thing and spread it out over everybody.
Yeah, I tend to trust, if I need a phone number, real person phone number, I ask my Google Home. Hey Google, what's the number near me? Then they give me. So I don't look into it. And when I go onto the computer, I had this one long ago, I got scammed, they're trying to charge me something that I don't need to pay, so I finally got out of it. But,
Phone number, what she's saying is that she's asking her Google Home to give her a phone number. It's kind of like Alexa, for those of you that don't know about it. And they're giving phone numbers, but phone numbers are really, really becoming a big place where people are getting scammed.
Something else that's newer on the scene, you may not have seen at all. Everyone has probably seen these kind of codes. They became, they've been around for 25 years, by the way, but they've been very common when the pandemic started, because you go to a restaurant, instead of giving you a menu, they have one of these codes. And all you do with your phone is hold the camera. You don't need a special app. You just hold the camera in front of it, and it opens up the restaurant's website where you can look at the menu. Okay? So it's very convenient. Now they figured out a way where when you're done eating, you can pay the bill through that too. And it does all that. So they're everywhere now. But those are now being not really hacked. What they do is they'll make a QR code. This one's got a little dinosaur on it, I see. But they make a QR code that leads to a fake website. And they'll tape it over the real QR code. For instance, some places parking meters use those now. So they'll tape it over the one on the parking meter. So if you go to park and there's a QR code, and you think, okay, I can pay with that, that's easy, and it's only $1. But there's a piece of paper, it's a QR code taped over it. That is a fake, that's a scam right there.
And then it opens up a site that isn't that where you put in your credit card or you do whatever. So actually they're saying with menus and all that to be very careful. If you see any sticker over the top of it, don't do it. I mean, again, scams are in every part of our life. We are starting to see it everywhere, in all walks of life. So we all just have to be incredibly aware so that we can stay safe.
So the QR codes, incidentally, a part of the QR code that's not exactly a scam is that enables the restaurant or the store, Best Buy uses them on every label they have in there, has a QR code where you can look up that item and see more information about it. they are then collecting information about you, the stories, okay? Not necessarily to scam you, but it goes into their database that, you know, Tina Schaefer was here, she was looking at this particular printer, and next time on the website, we're gonna start sending her more printers like that for sale.
You've all seen that, right?
I have a friend who I'm glad is in here today, who sends me text messages that are linked to something she saw on TikTok or whatever, and she wants me to see it, because she says, oh, it's so funny. And I don't click on those, I don't know.
No, and anymore, I hate to say it, it's becoming not too fun anymore, because people do send, so what she's saying is that she has a friend who sends her stuff all the time on TikTok, oh my gosh, isn't that funny? And a lot of times the scam is very short. Oh wow, look at this video I found of you, or oh, this is great, with the link. And if it's in a text, you have no way of knowing. It's kind of like you have no way of knowing who's on the other end of the phone. You have no way in that text to know who that person is. Is it really that person? Is it a scam? So I just stopped opening all of those things because I don't want to take the chance of loading anything on my phone. I don't want to send stuff to my clients. I just don't do it. And if it's something I think that's very important, I either do a separate text to that person, or better yet, I pick up the phone and I say, hey, I got something from you, a link. Is that something that you actually sent, and is that something that I should see? And almost 100% of the time they say, no. No, I did not send you anything. And then I delete it. But that's a very rare, I don't even call on most of them. I just get rid of them. So what I do, there's one of the flyers here, it's shopping safe lines. There's some stuff on there about shopping. I'm not sure. How much time do we get? On the back of that, just going to explain to you about the scam checklist.
Okay, on the back of the one, on the front it says shopping safeguards, but on the back it says scam in big letters. Everybody have that one? It's a checklist. And if you don't have to, have 5 of them to qualify, it's just one thing on that list means it's a scam. If it involves buying gift cards and sending someone the code, it's a scam. If someone is trying to convince you that it's legit, or if they say, I'm not a scammer, people all the time tell us, well, he said he wasn't a scammer. What did you expect?
Back to the stranger question.
There's a funny one on the list. If it involves the word kindly, that word kindly, it's almost for sure a scam. Because in American English, we don't use the word kindly when we're asking somebody to, send us money. Kindly go to your bank, and it just doesn't ring true. It's very common in India, by the way, from the British rule there. So it's almost always a scam.
So we did talk about why so many of the scammers, now that they're gotten so smart, why they don't make those emails better. And as you know, Photoshop and everything, there's a lot of emails, but boy, it looks exactly like Wells Fargo or Amazon or whatever. You have to be really careful. But Jeff pointed out, they really don't want the smart people. They want the people that look at all of those red flags and click on it anyway. So please, let's not be that group of people, okay? We're smarter than that, right?
That's right.
You mentioned earlier about emails. Did we do the computer security one?
No.
Oh, can we get to the ones that just have the emails? So one of the things that you can do if you get an email is to pay attention first and foremost. And most people, I always tell people, if you are more than happy, I have cards here. If you get a website and you're not sure about, or not website, if you get a email and you're not sure, forward it to me. I will gladly return an email and say, this is bogus, delete it. Or I'll tell you if it's legitimate. I do not charge you for that. I do it as a service because I'm trying to keep you guys safe, and I hope I educate you along the way. And the things you have to do is you have to pay attention. Here is an Amazon email that I received. So red flag number 1, R. Patterson 32 at my IAD, whatever. So, all right, so I'm at my first red flag. Do I have to go any further? Does Amazon send something out from EDU? No. Okay, so I know immediately by looking at that, that's a scam. I don't have to go any further. So now let's look a little further on the email, because on this email, there's 5 different red flags. But people will still click on it. So if you know what the red flags are and you know what to look at, you can determine a lot of this yourself.
Well, and things that aren't so obvious. It doesn't say dear Tina, it says dear customer, or hello customer. Amazon wouldn't say it that way.
Red flag number 2, hello customer, not specific.
Next one, odd use of the English language.
We've dispatched your item. In America, we ship an item, we usually don't dispatch it, okay? So that's a little thing, but it's another, after the first 2, if you still think you have to go further. And what's the last thing?
The phone number.
There's a phone number on the email. What happens with emails that have phone numbers?
Delete.
Are they scams?
Yes.
Are they always scams?
Yes.
Always. If it's a phone number, it's always a scam, okay? Just try and remember that. So delete, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to do anything else, just get rid of it.
Plus Amazon wouldn't word it this way. Call us customer service with a number. This is odd use of the language.
And if it's on there twice, or if it's on there big, it's a bigger scam. So here's last but not least red flag. The package, and this is to make me go crazy. It's going to someone else. Not only did they send me an email, they sent me an email that they're shipping this $1,000 thing to another person. Oh my God, I gotta do something right away. I gotta do it, I gotta call the number, I gotta call the link. And you get into a frenzy, and that's what's happening. And then you add how busy we all are, because I'll tell you, I've been asking everybody that calls me about scamming, I'm quizzing people. What happened? Why did you get into that state? Oh my God, I was running out the door or whatever, and I saw this email, and I got in the car and I called the number. Oh my God, my husband's sick, and I'm running around, I was running out the door. If you're in that state, don't look at your email. If you think you see that, most of the things that require urgency, and it's on that list, if it's urgent, that's the red flag. Hey, wait a minute, there is not an update, there's nothing on your computer that's gonna matter if you wait a day, an hour, a week. If you call me, if you forward it to me, I'll get back to you and let you know. 99.9% of everything I can send is bogus. Almost all of it. So start with that thought. And if you don't answer an email, if you really think you go through and you don't see any of those red flags, what do you do? What do you do if you get an email from Amazon or you get an email from Citibank and it says there's a, oh my God, we're charging you $1,000. What do you do?
Delete.
Get your credit card out, turn it over, call the number on the back of the card. Hey, is there a charge on there for, $1,000? And they're like, no. When you go into doing that though, ask for the fraud department, they usually answer quicker. Just forward it. Forward it, put my email address in and send it to me. Okay, so the reason why I want you to forward it to me is because I need to see the header. I need to see the email address and the information that's there, and when you copy and paste, I don't get that part. And again, if you guys just take a minute to see that it's an Amazon or Citibank and it's coming from a Gmail address, it's not that. There was one other thing,
Well, this was a text message that I got, and it says HTTPS verified dash Citibank, which I don't have Citibank, but anyway, Citibank dot something else. So it had Citibank in the link, but it's not Citibank.com. It's buried in the middle, and then it's some weird thing.com. Big old
so,
thing.
how many people have Apple iPhones? Okay, Apple changed their policy recently, and it was a big scam. It was actually an Amazon email that came through that said there was an iPad, and it said call the number, and the person was very much in a hurry. And so they got in the car and they called the number, and while they were going through, obviously not paying attention, the scammer said, well, hey, you know what, we need to send you a code, and can you give us the code? So pay really, if you got an iPhone, pay really close attention to this, because I have a feeling this is the next big scam. And let me tell you, if you think the rest of them you lost money, this is going to be a worse loss for you guys. She gave them the code, which allowed them to put her image. And in the meantime, they asked her a bunch of information, like what's your email address and whatever. So what they did is they went into the Apple site, and they put her email address in and said, I forgot the number. It's like what we were talking about earlier. And what that does is it sends the code to where? It sends it to her cell phone. And on the code it says, do not share this code with anyone. And she gave the code to the bad guys that they put into her Apple account, and promptly changed not only her password, but they put their phone number in her Apple account. So what does that mean? Does anybody even understand what that means? When she went to go to her Apple account and put in her email and her password, and it went to send the code, guess where it sent the code? To the bad guys. 8+ hours with Apple. Over probably 4 or 5 phone calls. Apple's new policy is, if that phone number is changed or wrong, they will not give you back your account. That is now their only form of identification. And if you don't have that phone number, you lose everything that's in your Apple account. You have to open a new account, and all of that stuff disappears. Everything you bought, everything that's on the cloud, all of your contacts, all of that, you cannot do anything. Your Apple products are basically like bricks unless you have that code. So all I can tell you is the stakes are getting higher, and this was a really, really bad scam that turned me and Jeff upside down for almost a week, trying to figure out even what was going on. I mean, it took us a while, and it took a while through Apple. All those security questions that they used to ask you that you could go in, those are now gone. Your birth date, if you have she had an Apple credit card, she had everything on there that we could have verified. They could have called, their own phone number was on there. They would only use the cell phone number, period. Period. 8 hours later, we fought and everything. So it was a horrible, awful thing for her. And it was a long week for us trying to figure it out. And I told Jeff, I said, we really have to let people know. And I know it's kind of complicated, but I hope you kind of get your head around, we don't share that code that they text you with anybody. It's just, as soon as you give them that, they have total control to change all of your information. And that becomes really, really dangerous. So unless you know the person, it's your son or daughter, or us or someone that you personally know and not a stranger, do not do that.
Not only that, if it works on Apple, it'll quickly spread it to Samsung and Google and any other big company like that. It won't just be Apple, it'll be all of them. If you think you're safe because if you have a Samsung phone, it won't be safe.
Well, people think they're safe on Apple, which is one of the things she told us, is that, well, I bought an Apple because I thought I would be safe, and actually Apple ended up locking her out permanently. So be careful with the codes, be careful out there. We are available. We're available by phone. One of the, 2 seconds. One of the things I gave you, please, if you do not have it, have this, because when you're in the frenzied state, I tell people all the time how to turn off their computer, and they don't know how to do it. So the things you can do to help yourself is to make sure that you know how to turn off the computer, make sure that, and I put Apple and Windows on here, know what kind of computer you have, know how to turn it off. We've given several different things on here of how to get out of that screen so that you don't get hacked when the phone number comes up. And if you haven't seen it yet, you will see it. It's coming up and popping up on a lot of stuff. But it's really easy for me if you call me, and if you do and you're in that state, I will walk you through the process on the phone. We do not charge for that. It's a service we do for Leisure World because I'm trying to keep you guys safe. And when you don't do this and you call the number instead, it's hours of closing bank accounts and credit cards and identity theft that can last for years. I mean, the stakes are really high, guys. You're gonna have to get more savvy about all of this stuff. So please take this, keep it close to your computer, because when it goes, you'll panic. And if you forget how to do it, this will help you get through the process, okay? So keep these things close. I have cards up here. So as you go out, I'm up here by the flyers. And keeping these. I thank you, Anna. Thank you, Michael. Thank you to the Sunshine Club. Thank you, Jeff. I really, really appreciate everyone coming today.
Thank you, guys. We see you next Friday or any Friday morning. You come to the same location here.